middle. I wish the world was a little bit fairer. Time to start looking at the man in the mirror.
كلنا أكوان بلنا تمام بلنا جميل بلنا جنيان.
Of course, our guest is very, very qualified and experienced enough to speak about the impact of South Sudanese music and culture. He's been featured in each and every publication that you can think of. His music has been part of the hip-hop culture, the South Sudanese culture, and the global music culture in general. And he's been very prolific, and also he's been very, he's been putting high-quality music out there. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome Emmanuel Jal. You don't need a lot of introduction, but out of courtesy, I will tell you, maybe you can just tell us how you're doing this evening and talk to this audience about yourself. Or just tell them who is Emmanuel Jal.
Yeah, I'm just amazed by this place. I didn't even know it exists. And so I was just going around looking at the everything, and I just couldn't believe something like this exists in Juba, and it's amazing. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Scenius Hub, so it's a lot of work, but also it's a lot of purposeful work. So you can see a lot of, we're using barrels and we're using bottles, tires. The idea is circular economy, youth, DIY, and also using what we have here, yeah. And it's been here for a year. And on daily basis, there are like between 20 to 35 people who come and work from here.
Wow. Is there like a membership fee? Or?
So there is a membership structure. Like right now, we haven't started charging yet. But then if you additional services, like if someone wants to host an event, there is a fee for that. But majority of the stuff here, like if you want to just come sit and work, that's for free. And it's an open space.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my name is Emmanuel Jal, and I'm a recording artist, a South Sudanese. And basically, I tell stories through music. And I always believe that every person has a story. And when we share our experiences for social emotional learning, we're able to connect with each other, we're able to know each other, but also we're able to create change. And the reason why I like telling stories, because in life, if somebody else tells your own story in the way that is not the way you want it, that's how it is. And if you tell your side of your story, like for example, when you go to court, you have two lawyers. The lawyer that will tell the story best and plant the seeds in the mind of the judges will be the one that will win the case. And so in life, everything you do is the story you're telling. How you dress is how people are going to pick the stories. Yeah, so now you could look at me. There's a lot of stories you're going to tell people today. This guy came with a bad shit. You know, so yeah.
So, I mean, this is very interesting. You're stating about you're a storyteller and you're an artist, a recording artist. You've been, I think like, majority of us have been kind of accustomed to your music for the last 15 years, 15 or so, 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's starting with Goa, or that's not starting, probably that's what we had as something out there. What do you think your role has been in kind of like telling, by then, the Sudanese story, and now a South Sudanese story and stuff like that? What do you think your role has been over the years in telling these stories?
Basically, I knew three things as a kid. You know, I always wanted to be a part of a solution. I want to be among the people who are going to make our world better. That's what I always wanted to be. And I love people who tell stories. And from that, the way I love stories, even here in South Sudan, I used to like to massage the feet of old people. Even sometimes it stinks so bad. But after that, the stories that they tell you transform you. So our lives Our success depends on the stories you're told, and our lives are shaped by the stories we hear. And so basically by going on and telling those stories, people's life perspective can be changed. And so if I look at it, what is it? I could define my vision is to share my experiences for social emotional learning to create conscious global awakening, and that's through the arts, business, and philanthropy. So if you look at the arts, that's music, that's poetry, that's probably making movies, anything that is creative. And then if you look, business is I'm an entrepreneur. The first business was me as a person telling the stories, and I get paid for that. And then music. And then now I'm in food business. As you can see, like I just came to Juba to just check around. And then we built a bakery that now employed 20 people, and we have a shop. And all of these things is still storytelling. So in somebody here, okay, this guy started a bakery and he's supplying food. There's a young person watching online, and they get inspired by that to try to see how can I do that, you know.
That's a very interesting thing. I mean, like looking at your life as a lens for telling all these stories. When young South Sudanese, I mean, I think like both young and old South Sudanese people look at you. When young South Sudanese look at you now, what do you think is the story that they're getting? What do you think is the message that hits them?
Well, it depends on the perspective of the person, what they hear. We hear things differently. Some people will be slow to get it, but there's some people who will get something. You know, I'll just make it simple. There was a king, who was a very powerful king, I think somewhere in Baghdad. And one day his wife gave birth, and it happened to be a boy. And he was so happy. And so all kind of people traveled from all over the world to come and see the child that is born. And kings, everyone gave gifts. So there's a whole line. But a man turned up without a gift. And everybody was just saying he's going to die tonight. Because you don't visit a king empty-handed. And when you're going to visit a king, you make sure the gift is not something they've received before. So you have to be creative. So when his turn came, and he told the king, Your Royalty, Highness, I came with a gift that is not tangible. But this gift is going to transform your child. Everybody want to know, what is that gift? Is it magic? And he told the king, when your child is ready, I'll come here every day and I'll tell him stories. And so that man went and told stories to the kid. When the father died and he later became the king, he expanded the kingdom. And on his deathbed, he was asked, what is that one thing that you can say that has been the most powerful thing that made you become the greatest leader of your time? And what he said was, the old man who told me those stories has given me this success and shaped my life. And so that's why I love stories. Even when you look at the walls, the stories being told. And I asked who was that commander there. I was told that Joseph Lago. And the young man began to explain that. And I said, wow, this is amazing. So just that little snippet of stories, yeah.
It kind of shapes the world in that. I mean, I said we're kind of looking at the impact. When you look at the South Sudanese culture and South Sudanese people, since time memorial, people have been telling our stories. I mean, when you look into when we were struggling with the Khartoum, there was a total blackout on the South Sudanese speaking out there. So few people will go and tell the South Sudanese stories. A lot of them are foreigners. Over time, when things open up, some of us started telling our own stories. And now we're at an age where, at the age of social media, where South Sudanese are constantly telling their stories. I mean, from outside and also from here. Do you think, but it's still like, I mean, the struggle is still there. Do you think there is, do you think there's still a deficiency in terms of our stories being told outside there? And if so, what is the solution to that? Like, we have multiple cultures, we have more uniqueness, we have struggles, we have history. But that voice, do you think it's still, like, if there is a deficiency of that, what do you think is the solution to it?
Well, the solution is us owning our own stories and telling them the way we want them to be told. Let me give you an example. South Sudan now has got many sanctions happening. And why are those sanctions happening? You know, the people, the activists that decide to tell those stories to the Congress, to the government of US, and to those people, they told stories. And those stories caught the people, the politician. It's not the facts that they hold on, it's how that story is told, and repetitively. And now those ones went into powerful hands, and now we have sanctions happening. Now, I am now in South Sudan. The last time I was here was when I was beaten by the police a long time ago. And I was not made welcome, getting harassed for speaking my head out. Now the second time now that I've come, it's a complete thing. My perspective out there is when you come here, you're an activist and you're going to die, you know? But there's some activists here that have got different perspective. Now, I was just coming to look, and I've stayed almost for 2 months in starting a business. I go at night, I jump on board the border. The stories that I was told, hey, it's going to be harmful for you. Now I meet a soldier, hey, Emmanuel, welcome back home. Everybody's happy. You know, if somebody do me something wrong, you find the next person jumping up and fighting for me before I do anything. And so here, what did I find here? So I came in a different lens, and I said, look, I'm one of the people who did not talk anything good about my country. I told my own stories, but also I didn't see what good is there. So this time I came with a different lens. I want to focus. What is good? This is good. What I'm seeing, this hub here is changing lives. I can tell that stories. And one of the amazing stories I could tell is, you know, long time ago, if a police person caught a drunkard person, you know what I mean? They'll beat you up. I don't know if they still do that now, but a while ago they'll beat you. So there's this policeman, there's a guy who was drunk, and they stopped him. There wasn't an arrest. They're talking in a nice voice, pull him out of the car, took his car key, and put him on a different car, and his car was taken to the station. And he was told, tomorrow you can come to the station. And I said, like, is this what is really happening in my country, that there's some people? And when you go and have conversation with them, some of them probably haven't received their salaries for long, and you still am doing it. And so those are the stories I want to focus on, the beauty of what's happening there. Yesterday, there was a little boy who was hit with a hammer on his head on the road. And what happened? Now, there's some young ladies or some mothers who ran there. We stopped and we went there and we tried to help the little boy out. There's many positive things that are happening here that I want to communicate. Look, who's going to build this country? It's going to be us.
When you talk about like you receiving this love and things to be like, you can drive beyond a border and what, someone might push back and say, you're Emmanuel Jal. You're not an obscure someone from there, from, I don't know, Mangaten or Sherkat.
Well, you know, the thing is, when I said my vision is to share my experiences for social emotional learning to create conscious global awakening, this is something. And what is my purpose? What I call is my purpose is to become a part of a solution. Give without expecting anything in return. So I would say, in short, my purpose is God's will. So whatever good that I do is not mine. It's the Creator's will. And so when you put that perspective on what your vision is, so in everything that I do, I'm just focusing, this is my vision. This is what I want to see, to come in the world, and this is my purpose. And so by doing that daily, I wasn't focused on all of that. And each one of us, you could be a cleaner. You know, wherever you are, you can lead from any position. And with time, it will build up. Now, when you're known, that people will like you, but that people will not like you. Yesterday I was beaten by a normal citizen.
You're beaten by a normal citizen?
Yes, a normal citizen. When I was distributing bread, and he was just telling me, do you think we are dogs just to be given bread like this?
That's a very South Sudanese reply.
A normal South Sudanese.
Yeah.
And he happened to be somebody in the police, but with no uniform. And then, and he'd end up hit it up and he hit me on my throat. So there was people around. And what did the person do? The next thing is switch the stories, trying to call the security people and say, look, we found this young man here in the neighborhood. He's talking terrible about the government, and he's talking bad about how the leaders of these countries are doing nothing any good. And then he told me, today you're going to be shaved and you're going to be beaten. And I told him, my brother, if that's going to make you happy, whatever you're looking me for, if even I die, I will not hate you. I'll still love you. You're like my blood. And he wasn't getting it on his head. The next thing is he persisted, but there was a chief who came. So I'm the one beaten. I should be the one opening the case. But chiefs came and solved. But he continued to insist. In the process, different people heard what happened. Now, the people he called to come and arrest me ended up putting him in.
Wow.
Imagine we're in a car. A chief is solving a problem. We're driving slowly. I've never seen anything like this. Slowly. People are walking beside the car, but they couldn't hear anything going on inside. So, and he asked another question, almost like 10 questions. And then he didn't tell that person to give me my car so I could go. He asked him, how would it look like now if you give this young man his key and he goes home? One of the things he said, he asked him, what is bad with you sharing what you have with others? Now, he just asked him question after question. I think he must be a psychologist, but he didn't go to study. Now, he ended up making both of us happy in the end. We are pissed off with each other. He's the one who beat me up. I ended up walking up joyful. The other guy left peaceful. And we're going to meet tomorrow and break bread. Yeah. But the most unfortunate thing happened is the law heard what happened. Yeah. So the law said, look, what happened, even though you think it's solved, it's not right. So they took us there. And as the law began to talk, he changed his story. And he wasn't cooperating. And as he wasn't cooperating, he ended up disrespecting his own leaders. And then he got arrested. So I didn't arrest him, I forgave him. But when I saw that, I said, how amazing is my country that there are people like this chief that exists, you know, and how can they be put in position of dispute so that old school wisdom still exists. And I mean, our old chief's way of doing things, it's really, I think it can take us forward.
I think that's very interesting. You talk about the old wisdom and ideas of culture and stuff like that. And I mean, we kind of, here we wanted to marry the two, culture and stuff like that. You have been, I think you're someone who has been kind of very much in touch with your culture and even with your dialect. Even from the start of your first music, you're always mixing Arabic, Nuer language, and also probably other languages also. What do you think has been the impact of the North culture, as you call it, on your music? Or what impact does it continue to have on your music up to now, or on your storytelling?
I'm trying to find out the something that will answer that one. Just trying to see where are they. Just give me a few seconds. I find this. No. Lines. Okay, I can't seem to find it. So, most of us, when you become a refugee and went to a foreign country, your culture, I look at it, your culture is your foundation, it's your roots. If you want to go forward, you have to know your history, you know? You know, the past, the present, and the future. The past defeat bring depression. The present challenges give us stress. The future worries give us anxiety. And so when you look at your culture and get something good out of it, it lays a foundation for you that can let you go off of the things of the past. Now, when you see the 6 lines that a person have.
So the tribal markings.
Yes. So the first line, there's a line that says courage, which means take courage. Which means if something happened, a man is respected if they die for what they believe in, and fear not death, because it's unification with your ancestors. Now, when you see that line, somebody who, when they're being cut from here to the end, that's what it means. And I say, wow. So every line has a meaning. Then there's another line which means, do not be like a child. So separate yourself from children, which means if there's food and fire, kids should be first. Don't eat, something called tang, which means if food is being divided, you have to demonstrate leadership. You eat last. So basically in our culture, how they trace if a cow is killed here, the person who's dividing it will end up maybe going home with nothing. They always take the smallest piece. And I learned this from this commander at that time. It's called Wangshu. When I was a child soldier in Juba here. So when we went on one of our surviving journey, people were literally dying. But one day, over 200 of us, there was a Warthog. And when that Warthog was brought, he was given the honor to divide it. And so he cut it, and he cut it into pieces that everybody can have. And he took the smallest piece. And I asked somebody, why is he taking the smallest piece and everybody else has the bigger one? And one old person say, that's how leadership is. And from that is in our culture. It's one in the line. And then there's another line that means justice, equality, and freedom for everybody. Now, which means when you have a line in our culture, if there's a dispute, you look for the nearest person who has the mark in their face that can cause the dispute. So now we have all of these things in our culture, which means any person who has been marking their head, unless they are corrupt right now, and they are not going by those laws, they are supposed to do things right. They should not lie. They tell what is the truth.
Do you think those values are still there?
There are some people who practice it, and when you practice, when you hold on into your truth, the greatest thing you have is joy and peace of mind. The greatest asset, the greatest wealth I have right now that I can tell everybody right now is I have a peace of mind and I have my joy. That's why I can dress like this. I can walk like this. If the law cannot arrest me in Juba, I can walk naked. One of even when we're doing the police,
that young man will come after you. The one who has a problem with the bread.
He wasn't an old young man. He was actually somebody with 6 lines. So he forgot his responsibilities.
Yeah.
So
with all the 6 lines, he forgot all what that means.
Those 6 lines have a big meaning. Which means, for example, if you are a shuluk in a Nuer area, anybody with 6 lines will protect what is your right.
Because that's a person of justice. That's a person that represents
justice.
Sense of responsibility.
And what it also means is, if you find somebody wiser than you, you step down and give them. So the quality of giving away leadership is in the marks of the head. So which means you identify who's better than you.
Do you think the way you narrate your cultural kind of like values enshrined in these tribal marks, do you think this is also replicable or kind of similar to other South Sudanese cultures and tribes? Do you think this idea of responsibility, justice, and upholding these values, do you see similar threads also in the Dinka culture, the Shuluk,
They have
the Bari?
If you look at it, like let's say the situation, the problems we have in our countries right now, if our leaders are given, the elders are given an opportunity to solve the thing, it'll be like that.
Yeah, some group of elders were given an opportunity.
No, not the one who have eaten meat from the city.
Yeah.
There's a difference between those ones in the village, those ones who have not gone. There's one old man was giving me his wisdom, and he said, anyone who has tested biscuits, juice, ajabarit, has eaten kisra, mulaweka, kudra, everything from the city, and is entering in a nice car, that person is dangerous.
All of them here are.
Yes. So, if they don't have their values in place,
Yeah.
you know, if they don't have their values in place, you know, if you look at where we are, I want to tell you a story of a monkey. An old man trapped a monkey. And how he did is, they were eating something. And when they eat it, they put it in a gourd. And the gourd was tied onto a tree. So actually, they were nuts. It's a nuts. And then when the monkey came, he put his hand in the gourd. And the person came toward him. The monkey took as much as he could and held it inside. Now it's trying to run. It doesn't want to let go. So in reality, what it means is we have all the cool things. We don't want to let them go, even if it's hurting us.
Even if it's hurting us.
So now we've enjoyed the comfort. Most of us came from the struggle. We suffered so much. And let me tell you the truth. The most beautiful thing I love about South Sudanese is you can reach out to any South Sudanese. This culture is not anywhere. Any South Sudanese. And tell them your problem. If it's the one egg they have in the family, they'll share it with you. When you reach out honestly. And I can testify, even if you manage an opportunity to meet any of our leaders anywhere and they have something, they'll give it to you.
Definitely.
Or any person. Yeah? But the biggest challenge we have now, we enjoy the things, these beautiful things that the Western has brought to us, that it made us lose who we are. Yet we want the change, but we don't want to make the moves to make the change.
Yeah, but Jal, someone will tell you, we have not tested anything. You have been to Canada. You've been in the West for longest. You've had your share. As we're just starting.
Brother, I've seen people moving with nice cars.
Yeah.
I've seen people sleeping in hotels. I've seen people, who has it? I am in the West. I hustled. I worked hard. Some young people, sometimes like I bring my son with me. We leave in the morning so he can observe how I hustle. Then by the time he's tired, I'll take him back. I have young brothers who complain that they want something. I tell them, come and spend the whole day with me. Next day, they don't want. Sometimes I just end up eating just that one meal, you know, and going on. Working, you see, working hard and working smart will take you there. I could say I went to the West, but there are a lot of South Sudanese who went to the West. And they got lost. Now, if you don't know your purpose, you'll be destroyed by the wealth that you create. So your vision can create for you wealth, but your purpose, when it's not there, it will destroy you. So what protected me in my journey is because as a little kid, I knew what my purpose is.
Speaking about this outfit, I mean, you've been alluding to it. Not that only, the internet has. You were a meme 2 days ago. I saw you being... There's a page called South Sudanese Bro. It has nothing to do with the... Okay. They put a meme of you wearing this attire, distributing bread, and there are several memes of you out there. What does this outfit represent, and why do you think people misunderstand it?
No, I mean, each one of us have stages of clothes. At one time, I was wearing women clothes, you know, and people started going, "Your Jal is now gay." Yeah? Imagine going where there's a Sudanese and you just pass and one person's whispering Arabic, especially women, "Deloti." You know?
And
Yeah.
you are like, huh?
Yeah. What's the... As you know, for you, like, see, the biggest thing South Sudanese fear is gossip. You know?
Gossip is a unifying factor for this country.
Gossip is powerful. It's the first policeman that keep communities together. Now, you know, what will prevent a beautiful lady to come to you in your hotel room is because of anybody could see and could pass the information. I've been here, well, I've much told her. So she'd rather meet you in the forest where nobody sees it, where a lion could eat both of you.
Yeah.
Then come for your hotel where Nas garden you shoot for few camera folk, you know. And so gossip, but to me is I have a different perspective. They can tell the story, but I have the story that I am in control that I can tell.
And that story you tell it through music. Tell me about.
I didn't answer the clothes.
Yeah, you didn't answer me about the clothes.
So the clothes here is, war happened. I come from a big family. We're like 50, 22 brothers, 27 sisters. And you look like everybody is in poverty. They're either in the refugee camp or internally displaced. And so I said, where I've reached, there's a whole gap. I can have all my meals for days. Okay, if I'm getting married, I'm going to have my wife. Probably the kids are going to be set for a long time without having to worry about finances. But everybody that calls you wants something. So you become the insurance, you become the father, you become everything. And now when I start looking at that and I say, okay, what is the thing that I can do right now to put myself at the lowest form and liberate myself from poverty and show my brothers how they can liberate themselves from poverty? And so that's when I said, okay, what's the simplest thing South Sudanese do, apart from walking naked? And then I saw, okay, there's something called lawa that people used to put on the side. And I say, how can I take that lawa and tie it so many times in my body? And then there's over 100 ways to which you can tie this thing on. Then I came with a formula where I can tie it down and tie it next, and I just have a lawa with an underwear, if it's really hot, without this, and move out. And so now, and this is like a lawa. This is a bed sheet. When you go to sleep, you untie it, you sleep. So now I don't have to think about what to wear. So now I can focus on fighting poverty. And I came to Juba and I said, okay, here's my brothers. Where do I focus my energy in? And I said, okay, I'm going to pick one. Every 3 months, I'm going to put some money together, pick just one cousin or brother, whatever, and establish them and show them how they can make their own food. And once they're able to do that, they can feed another person. And so that has been my strategy. And how successful did it work? It started one brother of mine who was in camp in Bentiu. I told him, okay, I don't have much, but I'm going to send you $50. Let people laugh at you. He went and bought faham, mush.
Yeah.
And then he built that. And then it started growing. And he told me this is the challenges. So what I look at is who's one of my strongest brother, even the one who can lie or cheat. I take time because some of them can lie to you, but you just look at what is the good thing. You persist because they're going to hurt you as you try to hurt them. We have different psychologies. And so when that one, you end up, why am I doing that is to disarm him from calling me for help. Now, so he's engaged, he has his little shop, and then he was feeding other people. And then he came to Juba and trained one of my brother and left him the shop. So when he arrived here, I told him, okay, I don't have much, but can you repeat the same process you did there? Yeah. And so when I did that, now he lives in Unimis and his shop is big, and he has a motorbike now, he's establishing himself. So now that repeating it, and one of my brothers came with an idea, hey, why don't you open a bakery? We can employ 20 people, maybe 10 with our brothers and relatives. And then from there, it started into other business. So now what I do is, how you disarm that person is you establish them, they become stable, and then they don't know ask you for you. The youngest one we have right now who's working, I think is 13 or 12. He has a little tablia in Manga that generate like 7,000 pounds a day.
A small kiosk in Mangala.
In Manga.
Okay.
So now, what's going to do is when school open, he'll study in the morning, and then in the afternoon, he'll be in his shop. So now he sends his mom, which is my stepmom, money. He feed other people around him. He doesn't ask me anything. And so that's the focus. And then you have other brothers who come and complain. You tell them, wait. You have to wait. And they get mad. So sometimes you have to be focused. Now what is happening now, I have meeting with those who are successful. And now we form we form a family committee because it's a big family. We put 2 people in place to tax us. So I get taxed every month. Any other want to make money, get taxed. Yeah. So now
this is a family government.
Yes, we have 2. I think we have 2. my uncle's son and my brother. So those are the one in charge of family problems, family dispute. Anyone who's working get taxed. You get taxed according to what you earn. Now they collect that tax to solve family issues. Any family member who has problem, don't come to me. They go there, and the problem is solved.
Are they understanding it? Is your method getting a
it's not easy because you have to stay focused. You know, I, as a little boy, maybe I can tell you a story. My biggest challenge was focus. When I was in school, I had to repeat one class 4 times. So most of you here are sharper than me. You know, imagine you go to school, you got a grade, you're told you're below fail, you know? you know, there is F, but there's below fail. It's a grade called UN, unclassified, ungraded. So I got that so many times. But one person who told me, Emmanuel, this is not because you're traumatized, but it's because it's a lack of focus. When you're in class, your brain is elsewhere. There's several things you're thinking. You're imagining different things. And where is the foundation of that? Maybe we can take this out. The beginning of that was my childhood experience. So I began to track when was I born? I was born in the 80s. The country was at war. My mom was pregnant. Probably that there's a lot of issues. And how did that I'll share a little quick stories, how it even impact me in my journey. You know, in our tradition, you know the way they do things in the village. I like the village system of how they raise you to become a man. Those in the village had a better system of living than how we are now today. Because our system that were designed by ancestors, nobody was poor. But now we have new system that we don't know, and we have so many poor people. Do you guys agree with me? So how they teach young people leadership is, in our village, I came from a little town, you know, when you go to the village, we're being trained how to take care of cows, the little calf. Yeah? So there's a neighbor, little boy, my age, was given a calf to look after in the day. And he was told, don't let the mother and the child unite. The kid guarded it properly. Now, my turn came, you know, and I was given. You know what happened to me? Huh?
What happened?
That evening, I was so focused, you know, but a bird came. And I started screaming, eagle, eagle, eagle. And I chased the eagle around. By the time I looked, the calf united with the mom, the milk. That night, I was beaten. But the most painful is not the beating. It's how there were little kids and there were people were given what is called muam. Muam in my culture is it's walwal without milk. So they made walwal without milk. And everybody's complaining. Why is there no milk? Oh, talk to Jal. The little kids, imagine the little kids, they're not given milk. So everybody in the family is being denied milk.
I think there was milk elsewhere, but they really wanted to send a message.
There's milk somewhere, but the message is being sent from grandmother to everybody complaining. That was the most traumatizing part, not the beating. Can you imagine?
Talk to Jal. He's the one who's definitely
why there's no milk? Yeah, talk to Jal. Jal. So the whole night, the whole village, everybody complaining the whole night because we don't have milk. Now, I could not sleep that night. Next day, you know, they brought the same training. They brought the other child. I was given a lecture. This is how to do it. And I was so confident I'll get it. Okay. What happens? I did a good job, but in the evening, I started celebrating that I did a good job.
You're the guy.
In the moment of celebration, in that little moment of losing focus to celebrate before the time is over, the calf left me. And as the calf was going, I chased the calf and tried to catch the calf, wrestle with the calf. It kicked me in my mouth or here, and I was blacking out. I couldn't get. By the time I came back to my senses, it's united. So now, I went back home. But the thing now is, people that night do not sleep without milk. They were given milk. So I was the only one who was without milk. And all man protected me, say, he did his best.
Yeah.
So he shouldn't be beaten. Now, what was making me lose all of this is lack of focus. You know, there's one person who said, you can predict the success of any human being by their ability to focus. And what makes me focus is stories. You know, when someone tell a story, it captures my mind and I go through the imagination. And through storytelling, I was able to refocus my mind.
Jal, this is a very amazing. You're a very good storyteller for sure. You kind of captured our imagination here. You have been, and I kind of wanted to show some of your pictures in terms of kind of your impact. Because if you're talking about solving family issues and the calf and one, but you have been also on a very global stage and solving so many issues, meeting leaders. Maybe someone can show me the first slide on that. Maybe, yeah. This is you and the Dalai Lama. Where was this? Do you recall?
In Syracuse in New York.
Yeah.
That's where we met. So it was in New York. I was invited for one of his concerts.
What is the impression that you got from meeting the Dalai Lama?
I mean, I like to, if somebody has something, my brain want to find what is beyond that. Mm-hmm. So one thing that always amazed me as a kid is how is that person, why are people listening to that person? What's making that person so great? And you know, the first thing that really shocked me the big time is when John Garang came to speak to us in Peñudo, you know, in Peñudo refugee camp. And the women who fainted next to me. Imagine, when he was speaking to us as kids, our imagination was capturing. He painted the vision of the future and how, which one of us can see the future. And you just get so excited and happy about how we're going to be free and everything.
And people were in suffering by then.
We're suffering. Like, there's no food, but this person has taken your imagination to a different level. So now you have this, our language in my Dinka language was very limited, but you see these women will scream and sing and faint, and that's it. There are people who died out of happiness that day, who died of happiness of how the future is. And so, and I went and, like the way they organize people in distance, like you.
You people are definitely not in the front row.
I broke the law. Like, even if he hit me with one cane, I don't feel it. I wanted to go in front. So, what is making this person this powerful? You know? And I went and asked another soldier, and I asked him, why is it like this? Why is this person like this? He said he's speaking from his heart and painting the vision for all of us about future. So it's like God's message in him. And then I said, look, I want to be like that. I want to do something like this. I want to do it. So now, Dalai Lama, Nelson Mandela, or any person.
I think we have a slide of Nelson Mandela, right?
Oh, any person. So as a kid now, my mind, I got inspired by people who are doing stuff because I always want to be a part of a solution. But I wanted to know, how do they do it? So that's why you listen to their stories. Now, if you look at, for example, how many are entrepreneurs here? Is there any business person here?
I think we should be having several here.
So one thing I came to find, the executive, the top big business people, most of them, or those CEOs, the most successful one, expose themselves to a lot of stories, probably 5 books a month. And that's why their mind is able to expand and be able to make powerful decisions.
Yeah. So I think go to the next one. This is you and the late Kofi Annan also. Where was this?
I can't remember this, but I think this was probably in Switzerland. I met him in different place. Yeah, but Kofi Annan taught me something amazing. He taught me about time. I don't know if it's a story to tell you guys here.
What did he tell you about time without telling us the story?
No, we as artists.
Because of my time here.
Yeah, the thing is, time is the only thing that is really limited. Yeah. Each one of us has got 24 hours a day. And it's one of the universal principles, you know. And how you use it really matters. Because I was an artist that day, my manager told me we have a dinner with Kofi Annan and 6 presidents. And I said, no, I don't have to be on time. I'm an artist.
Wait. Kofi Annan and 6 president, and you don't have to be a time, you're an artist.
Yes, that was stupid. I was it until Emmanuel Jal turns out. So now, everybody has wine. There is food. Every bit that was taken in was so painful. You know, from that day, when I saw, and there was a Japanese lady who told me in Japan, if you're late for 5 minutes and there are 5 people, you multiply it by 25.
Wow. Because that's the time that you've taken from all of them.
That's the time that you wasted. So being late
if they're presidents, I think you can multiply it by 10.
So it's like, yeah. So if it's 1 hour, you owe them 10 hours. Yeah. And so...
can you show me the next one? Show me the next slide. Where was this?
That was Kakuma refugee camp.
And that is you performing in a field.
Yeah.
What do you represent to Kakuma when you go there? Because you started there.
So we form a charity called Go Africa in Kenya. And so I used to go to the camp, and if I identify a smart kid, I'll bring them to Nairobi and then put them in school. Use my own cash, pay for their school fees until I find someone who can take it over.
How has that worked?
It works. So just based on that simple idea in the process that I want to be a part of solution. So far, if you look, we have impact of over 2,000 kids in total who went to school-based. We're either building schools in South Sudan. We also have hundreds that went through high school and completed in Kenya. And then we have people who have gone to university, even abroad, through the process.
Can you show me the one with the next one? This is you and your sister, right?
Yeah, this is Nyarwach.
Yeah, right. She's an artist in her own right.
Yeah.
And she has a song that is really trending in this country.
Yeah, is it Galwak song?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your sister brought us so much trouble, us men in this country.
Yeah.
Everything, someone is just calling us Galwak.
Yeah. You're not alone, so.
What do you think her voice is, and what do you think of her art, her songs and stuff like that?
I mean, she's like a female activist. So basically, in her message, the song is speaking.
Yeah,
you know, for itself. Yeah.
And maybe you can just take me to the next one because we want to close. Okay, when he comes back, and I think Jal, one of the things speaking about this, one of the things that just reflects to me, it's like you are big, like you are the person who can kind of make Kofi Annan and 6 presidents wait for 10 minutes.
No, that's not big. That was being stupid.
Okay, stupid and big. You've been all this stuff, and then here you are dressed like John the Baptist and distributing bread in Mangatene. How do you reconcile these two?
You know, I mean, it's where do you find your joy? That's the most beautiful thing. People can sugarcoat it with a suit or the biggest, most shiny thing, you know. And let me say, a lot of us go through pressure, you know. If you look at it, sometimes I feel so much pain when I see our women bleaching themselves, you know. At one time, I hated my skin when I was in Kenya. I didn't like it, you know. And how you didn't like it is how kids used to look, hey, you're so black. And then you look at it, you look at everything, is being dark is associated with failure and everything, you know. And so if you have that image that if you are so black, you're the most bottom, and if you're light skinned, you're the top. So psychologically, it damages you. Now, if you go, even in the Bible, there's a description, Isaiah chapter 18, God will punish Sudan, you know, tall, smooth-skinned people. And if you look at how we are described and how our dark skin is, now how horrible we are in some places, and then you go to slavery. So like there's things that confirm the narrative of other people or oppressors that we're like this. So psychology, that was damaging our sense. So it took me a while to hold into my culture and retwist it and love my skin to be who are like this.
And do you think through holding that, do you think other people are also drawing inspiration from it and kind of loving their culture and appreciating it?
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
The most important thing is you just do you.
And let others.
We are like monkeys. We learn through observation.
Okay. Thanks. That was a very good twist.
Yeah. We're like kids.
Yeah.
We're just big kids. We learn through observation. When you see that person look nice, you're going to buy the same dress and you see it look nice on you. Okay. Like this young girl here, she's trending with her style.
She has a lot of swag.
Yeah. So when she walk out there, another young lady will see and say, I can do that. And then they go and try it and it doesn't work on them. So why? If they go to a tailor and then it's cut and fit for their body, they come, Yeah.
So I want to take some questions. Thank you so much, Jal, by the way, for being generous. We want to take some questions from the audience. And we said we'll have part of the show where we kind of like take questions. Jal has outlined a lot of things. He's spoken about his vision, his reality. He's spoken about him being beaten, the chief saving him. And also we spoke a lot about your global impact and also issues in this country. So I'll open it up. We have a very informed audience here. And I think there is one mic that will be roaming around, right? I think this one of our mics, or there is a third one? Yeah. Okay, good. So we'll take probably in sets of 3 or something like that. Just tell us your name and what's your question. Probably your name and what you do, and then what is your question. Just make it very concise. We'll also allow a chance for comments. To be honest, I cannot see you do it to the lights. That is so. I will prefer if like we get people. Bashir, can people come this side, or what is the most? Yeah. Yeah, if people can walk here, that would be really nice. Just raise your hand and walk this side, and then you can ask your question. I can see there was a hand there. Okay, cool, super. Just walk here and then tell us your name, what you do, and your question.
Thank you for the opportunity. I have a question, which I think maybe most of us might have. I follow you, and I see some criticism sometimes on some of your posts. How do you handle it? Some of the works you do. For example, people say, you cannot fight from far, come fight from here. How are you helping us when you're very far? So those are kind of like 2 in 1. Yeah. How do you handle the criticism that you get? And when you're out there and people back home say, but you're not here.
So how do you...
How are you... What is your contribution even when you're not here?
Okay.
Because this is a question that many people who live out there face, you're not home. So you don't know what's happening on the ground.
Okay, thank you so much. That is Elnai. He's the one who he's a musician. Okay, let's take the second one. You want to answer that one? Okay.
Yeah. So how am I helping when I am there? How many who have a relative outside that send you some money or put you in school? Do you know anyone who's educated by their person who lives abroad? So, being there, I perform, I get paid. Then there, my immediate family that I can support out of that. Let me give you an example. How I went to Canada with nothing, but I ended having to buy 2 houses, have a record label, and able to have funding that I can send here. Now, when I was in Kenya, I'll just go as simple as I was in Kenya, when I went to refugee camp, how we first began was we used to clean Kenyan houses, their toilets and their compounds. And a person asked us this question, why are you doing this? And I said, don't pay us. But if you can be able to put one lost boy in school or one ex-child soldier in school, that will give us a big help in the future. And so a Kenyan will educate, or a Kenyan will talk to another person. One day we end up in a Kenyan who own a house, who own a school. And they took a bunch of South Sudanese to study for free in a primary school, secondary school, and also college. And so that was just a simple thing. Now, when I became a rapper and I started singing and creating music, it made international leaders like Nelson Mandela catch my attention. Now, if you look at it, Clinton, President Clinton, Jimmy Carter, former Prime Minister of England. Now, what it has gave me a status, just not as a musician, but as put as activist. Because in America, activists bring change. They actually use words and they actually open the mind of the people they paint different perspective. And they're the number one people politicians fear because they speak what the public wants. And because they're not easily tied down, they're passionate, something put in them. And there's a change that they want to bring. Now, how did that impact South Sudan? Now, when we're at war, how did it impact? Now, you get called to meet big people. What did the Lost Boys? Without the Lost Boys, South Sudan, George Bush would have never sided with South Sudanese. Because the Lost Boys went to White House. They told the stories. They told what happened. They changed the perspective of the pastors, the priests, the people. Now you got all over the world by us telling our own stories about what is happening, we got much support. Now what support did it bring? The other people who came and support either by giving arms, and the other people who came to support either by giving us food. So there's that collective energy that has been put together by different people telling their own stories. Was it me? But whoever tells their story better wins in the end. How do I handle criticism? You see, attention, if you want to be a leader, the most important thing you have to create is attention. When you create attention, there's a reaction. There are people who are going to hate you in what you're saying, and there are people who are going to like you. The people who hate you, they're in two groups. If they are not benefiting from what you're doing, they may dislike you. And there are people who become your enemies because what you're doing is a threat of their daily. But if they are benefiting from you, they become your friend. Now, the people who are going to like you, those are your angels. They are going to support you. So now, those who hate you, now, one person there's a person who ended up booking me for a very expensive show. They found me based on a bad comment. Somebody went and said, this guy is a liar, he's saying he's a child soldier, and he's this and all of that, and nothing will happen. And he put my name. Now, somebody who his follower followed him and read all those bad comments and went and find out who's Emmanuel Jal. He heard my music, and he said, this guy is actually cool. He booked me for a concert. So, anyone who talk badly about you is amazing because they're giving you free publicity. They're going to talk bad about you, and if you're not reacting, you're not hurting them, other people are going to hurt you. You're always whining about Emmanuel because you have nothing going on. Do you know the people who are destroying our country are the one under the tree having a cup of tea who have no job? Wallahi, Layla there. We are going to vote for so-and-so. Wallahi, Zola ikun bara, fikire. They just talk. There's nothing they're doing in their life, You understand what I'm talking about? Okay.
My brother, your name and your question. Make it concise.
Good evening, everyone. Mr. Jal, my name is Emmanuel John. I'm a software engineer by profession. I follow your story a lot for quite a while now. And the background that you come from and your lost child story, it's usually what inspires a lot of people to take up music. But, seeing the lost child story of those days is currently now evolving based on different conflict, bringing up different, survival area for the young people in South Sudan. So I was hoping if you could give us a perspective. How do you see this lost child stories evolving? When you came to Juba, I saw you on social media, distributing funds, and you said that I'm giving this to almost 300 women, or you distributed 300,000 South Sudanese pound to help these people. And yet there's a lot of people lost still. There's a lot of kids trying to make it. And some of them tomorrow may be inspired by music to reach the level that you are, right? So we want to understand, in your perspective, how do you see this lost boy story evolving? And I understand that there's no second question. My second question would basically be, I know for sure. Your style is very unique. When we take a look at Africa, you see Nigeria and they have their own style. See South African. But when it's come to South Sudan, we see you with your own style, like the way you're dressing right now. Could you give us a little bit of what inspires it? Give us an idea so that those who are inspired by music to make change in this country can also be inspired to make their own style. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So what inspired me is the simplicity. My brothers are suffering. Wealth is built as a collective. So this is like my uniform to fight. When you go soldiers, they have uniform, they wear boots. So when you see me like this is my fighting gear. I wear this bed sheet, I was packing and my manager told me, you lost your head, you're mad. And I said, but in this madness, I have my peace of mind and I have joy. I don't have to think about what to wear. So now I can narrow my focus. Do you know what headache? I had a girlfriend before. She would spend 1 hour trying to figure out what to wear. And it's yeah. And so, and I said that's, you're trying to go somewhere, but that's 1 hour figuring out what to wear. What about this? How does that look like? It's good. They go, they look at themselves in the mirror, they change. They come to something else. By the time they have headache, they don't want to go out, they change their mind. Now you're pissed off. Now you spend a whole hour going for a dinner, and then all of a sudden I can't go on dinner, there's nothing to wear. But you have like a whole wardrobe. So like if you have one thing, Malaya to go folk, they'll be so, and you're focused. So it takes a lot of energy. So this is my outfit to allow me to focus. When I wake up in the morning, I don't have to think about what to wear. I just have this simple shoes. Why? I've eaten with the greats. I've seen how it is, and I found like simplicity. Once in a while, probably I'll wear something. What actually really inspired this the most is it's like I'm just going to wear simple cotton. What is it? We don't manufacture cotton. And I say in South Sudan, we are like a consuming country. Our country is not run as a business. We're just consuming, Everything goes out. Children goes to school out. We buy everything out. We spend almost 40% of our budget by importing food into our country. So it doesn't matter how much money our oil brings us. Our economy cannot grow if we don't produce. Because if you look at it, there are 3 types of economy. There is macroeconomy, which is about production and consumption of goods and services produced by a country and getting other countries to consume them. And out of it, they make profits and preserve it for the next generation. Then you have microeconomy. What is that? That is about production of goods and services consumed within the country and also creating wealth for the next generation. And then you have what is called the nano economy, which is an individual bringing value into the country, goods and services, and then by creating wealth and adding value, and that wealth that they create, they preserve it for the next generation. Our country is not, when you look at macroeconomy, it's countries, what do? They create what is called grand strategies, which is basically identifying countries that could be economically threat to you, and you destabilize them. And so when you look at South Sudan, we're a threat to a lot of countries. We have gold, we have diamonds, we have oil, we have fertile land that can feed the entire African export food. So there are countries that would want us not to be happy and peaceful with each other. They want us to kid each other. One quote that I got was there's a man who was in Congo, and he said, since African can no longer be colonized, what we can do is, if we can only distract them and fight among each other, then we can get the resources cheap the way we want. And that person was recorded on camera. He was interested in they found a lot of oil gases on a lake and in a forest in Congo. And that's, how do we get this coltan? How do we get everything cheap? So the best thing they were doing is put them on an arm embargo, make the country weak, make everybody so weak, and then by the time they figured it out, would have taken the big part. So those are called grand strategies. So if our country don't think in a bigger way, hey, look, how can we trade with the rest of the world and make profit? So now that's the thinking. It's not going to be our government to do it. It's us here who have gone to university, who are doing something, us bringing value. And so those are the things that I'm thinking about.
Okay. Thank you for the chance. Hi, Emmanuel. All we're doing here is writing history that can be passed to the next generation. And it's something that is recorded. And so far, the reflect of what we've seen of you, your journey through art, is through the record, the media and all the pictures and the videos. And as such, we are learning from it right now. But then when we look at the grassroots, they can be exposed to your stories through your music, through maybe the videos, because some of maybe through your song, some of them cannot understand the meaning of it. But now when they see you jumping around with the flag and they ask why is he jumping like that? They're like, it's showing freedom with the flag maybe. That back it up. I'm a believer of visual art in terms of videography and movies, and I see you're a fan of storytelling, and your stories are very rich and inspirational. And most of us wish to expose such stories in a visual way that can reach the grassroots and inspire them, because the words alone cannot be understood by the masses, a lot of them, because, you know, the literacy is that it's a challenge in our country. A few of us can read. And the written material, if you can also reach out to read it and understand. So I'm looking at a perspective whereby the stories that we have from the young age, just like your journey right now, can be recorded and also be made a film, and then it can inspire other people from the grassroots. But here we have a challenge in South Sudan, things to do with the film industry. It's not known, and we have a lot of stories that are twisted by other countries where they come and record some things that are untrue. It was the other day they showed that a woman gets married and she has to stay in a honeymoon for about 4 years without doing any house shows, something like that. And somebody had to do that to get likes or whatever it is. But then if we now expose such things through a movie and all that journey, this history can be recorded for the next generation not to be misled. And as such, do you think you can contribute towards the introduction of film industry so that such stories can be passed and can be interpreted, so that also our narrative can be changed in the eyes of other people who are recording it, not on our own perspective? Because your stories can be related, just like you told us about the calf in the village. Some of us also went through such, of which if we get it raw from the right sources right now and put it on the screen, the kids will say, yeah, these are South Sudanese and this is true. But now if you see a white man behind a camera or any other person that is foreign telling our story in a visual way that is not true, this is misleading to the next generation, and history will actually cut in between there, and more generations will be misled. So that is my question. Thank you.
What's your name and what do you do?
Yolanda Kuipol Machoy. I'm a scriptwriter.
I am the president. I'm a writer. Yes, I'm the president with all this hair. So first and foremost, I would like to inquire from the lost boy. You know, at most times when you text a lost boy from somewhere, they will the first thing that comes to their mind, I stand to be corrected later on, is money. Yeah. So when somebody from home texts them, they think of, yeah, this person is looking for money, you know. Then they start, you know, ignoring you. So also want to hear from him, why do they do that? Then again, why come at this point in time to South Sudan? Why come right now? Then I believe you've been here for some time and you've listened to our music, regardless of where you've been. And even when you came here, you've listened to several of our music. So what is your take and what message can you leave to the upcoming musicians? Then besides that, we have a lot of young... we have several
questions. Like
the house, can I have the last question?
Yeah.
Thank you. Besides that, what message do you pass to the young upcoming generation, and what is the significance of having the beads also on the toe? Yeah, different cultures tell different information. Thank you.
How is there anybody who will remember all those questions, or should I? So there's the one. There's the about the film industry. I mean, now you're a script writer, I'm a storyteller, so probably we can see if we can bring our brains together and see what can happen. Maybe I can do that practically. I've been telling stories, I've done documentaries, I've also acted in some of Hollywood movies. But setting up our film industry here, we have to identify who's really passionate about it, because they have to be a pioneer in something. Like the other day, I was inspired by a woman called Rebecca from Bor, she has a boat, and she go and hustle and battle with men in the fish place, and like now she's a pioneer in something. She saw it. So each and every part of the industry, they have to be a leader to take it. Who's that passionate, that young person who sees the film industry that have been trusted? And if it's you that has been trusted with it, you know, you just have to find who gonna be your allies to take it. You're passionate about it, you see it, it's God was given you to it, and then you just go for it. A vision can take 30 years to get there. But if you focus on it, this far of reach, it took me that much time. Whenever I have an idea, I see 10 years. Where will this idea be in 10 years? And I try to see 15, 20, 30 years. I'm now 41. Any idea I pick now, I try to project it, I'll be 70 when this thing will grow. So if we start thinking, you look at your life, like 5 years ago, it's not the same as now. But how many have ever seen a bird building a house or somebody building their own? You don't do it instantly. So look at it like a building that you're building, and it takes a while. So whoever is trusted by who's passionate about our film industry, you know, they will make it happen regardless of anyone helping it. So the other two questions the other lady said, which I can remember. She's saying why now? Why you come to South Sudan now? Why come now? There was insecurity, you know, and our leaders have done something amazing. They've given us an opportunity, you know. If you see what has happened, you know, when React said, I'm not going to go to the city with soldiers anymore to create any threat that people fight again. I'm just going to be myself. And then you have now Kir taking the risk and say, look, I'm going to offer protection. Now Kir has the biggest headache right now to make sure the person is safe. And so if you look at our leaders have done something amazing, and then the rest of it has to be us. Now, how many of you have seen just by that impact now, Riyadh coming here and living in Juba, businesses are thriving. People can move around. People can go to Juba. And you see, and there's different people who are going to have their own stories. So this opportunity, now it's the first time coming to my country that I'm proud that I can move now and see the positivity, how everybody is doing their best to make this country go forward. Nobody will bring us peace except us. And we're going to have to be real with ourselves. You know each other. The people who looted our country the most are not our leaders. It's us. It's us. Now, if you're trusted with a project to do something. The money that you'll be given, you'll run away, you buy a car, spend it, and the whole thing is done. You know about the Druga saga. You know, how many know about the Druga saga? So we could say it's our leaders, but there was over 2,000 entrepreneurs that were given an opportunity to be partners with the government. What did they do with the money? $5 billion disappeared. And I'll give you an example. There was a one lost boy, an ex-child soldier. His name is Benjamin Ball. He was trusted on a peace process to supply grain. You know, you remember Joseph Kony? So Dr. Machar gave him a contract. When he made it possible, that's when he was able to build Home and Away. So he made profit and built Home and Away. The next thing he's becoming passionate about development, roads and construction. Now he went for a second contract. He built trust with the government to trust him with contracts. And now where is he now? Most of those entrepreneurs, the 2,000 entrepreneurs that were funded did something. The thing is, what I always say is, it's not what you're going to have that really matters. It's what you have now and what you're going to do with it. If we look at it, leadership is the reflective of the people. Now, until we transform our mind, you know, and see things different and passionately go out to transform our country, we'll be in the same place.
Yeah. So a quick one, I just want to ask Bashir, how many minutes do we have? How many questions can we take?
Actually, I'm rather out of time too.
Yes. Only one last question. Yeah. Yeah, because also Jal's time is over. Oh, you've been waiting? Okay. Let's just take that so that we wrap it up. This kid also wants to go home. Now, what you can do? That can be answered on the sideline.
Let me just answer one of our questions. What was the other one?
The bid. What's your opinion on the music?
So, the music in our country right now, the gatekeepers are the DJs. You know, they can give us airtime. If you hear what's the dominating music right now is Nigeria. You know? So when we make the Nigerians more popular here, then a Nigerian artist will come in singing in a stadium, probably take 500,000 or 2 million or a Tanzanian. So until we love ourselves, if we don't love ourselves, other cultures will not pick on us. So my question is, one way to develop our music industry is play our music. Just play it. Yeah. You know, in Canada, they have a rule that a certain percent of music has to be played on the radio, has to be Canadian. You go to United States, they have the same rule. You can play other music, but we want to hear our music. Now, let me give you an example. What benefit would that be? You know, investing, like I'm a Canadian South Sudanese now. Now, 2 of my albums and my music videos, you know, are funded by Canadian government. So the Canadian invests in the arts, and then they play my music. Now, when they play my music gives me royalties. You know, every 3 months I get a big check from my music that is being played on the radio or on YouTube or other activities. But apart from that, why is Canadian investing in the artists? How many know about Justin Bieber? How many know about Drake? Most of them were given grants by the government. If I want to tour in South Sudan or go to anywhere, the Canadian government will pay for my tour. And then you know why? My record label is based in Canada. All the money come back to Canada, and then I get taxed. So, and then I'm making Canada good. So eventually, when a Nigerian artist come and take our money, or a Tanzanian artist, and all of this come to South Sudan, where are we losing? Our money, Mashibara. But when we promote our own artists and we love them, and on social media, Nigerian will say, okay, we want check B. Now check B fly to Lagos and come back with $30,000. Is that not good for us? So basically, the challenge should be our DJs. The question I can give, whenever you are there, request. Even anytime I go, well, I'm there, go on with Junobi. Come, sir. Even if you don't know the names, just tell them. You know, and if a DJ that does not play local music, just boycott them. Don't listen to them. You're not empowering us, you know? So how I got inspired by this was one NBA player who was playing, and he said, we can complain about how this entrepreneur is not giving us better service, but we are the one to lift them up. And so there was a young man who was designing shoes and T-shirts. So the guy playing NBA, when he's buying clothes, he goes to his neighborhood and buy them from the artists that are struggling. And I asked him, why do that? He said, when I wear his shoes and I buy his thing, his thinking will develop. It takes another person to help you develop yourself long term. So we may have our artists, they may not be hitting the notes properly, but if we just show up and support them long term, they'll grow, they'll become that big artist. I used to be kicked out of choirs because I couldn't hit the notes, but here I am today.
My name is Bismarck Darius. Just very quick question, because there's been a lineup. I want to thank Kwaja Nelson for bringing us such amazing people, from Dynamq to Emmanuel Jal. Now, one quick question is like, now Emmanuel Jal has been a public figure on international world. Now, when you are telling the stories about entrepreneurship and business process and all these things, do you think you are now limiting yourself to your family members? Are you supposed to be a resource for all South Sudanese? And I can see that you have been meeting with world top class people and financial people like Richard Branson, all these things. So is there any way of making innovative way of bringing such money to South Sudan and like supporting so many projects rather than limiting yourself? I know there's a good intention in doing such kind of things like you are doing and Nelson has been doing and all these things, but there's some ways of doing innovative things or talking with these financial people. You have reached up to UN Secretary of State, Kofi Annan. So you'll be able to talk to, or it's like make a concert, funding some projects, such kind of things. You know, for us, we are not being in the stage for long. We are engineers, we are staying in the background. But I take a gut to come and talk to you about these things. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
For that.
Yeah. So, I mean, thank you for the positive thoughts that you suggested. In terms of for the country, I formed a charity called Gua Africa. And Gua Africa has put over 2,000 kids in school. Those were not my relative. In fact, I did not invest in my relative that much. And if we talk about Juba, when I came in, I took, 10 years worth of saving. Like you work hard, that amount of money that you could just use to build yourself a nice house and build yourself a nice car and walk nice and everything, and try to distribute that funding. Now, I have a place in Mangatane, and the thing we did is I started looking for the under tea women, those women who sell stuff in the tea. And I realized when you ask them their profit, some of them make $100, $200, $300. So they're like the pillars of the economy from down here. They put their children in schools and they do stuff. And then we ended up funding 50. So I said, like, we're going to find 50 women and fund them. And so, and I asked one woman, please identify for me the one that if we give a little bit of boost can become better. And then we call them on a meeting, or sometime you go and surprise somebody in the restaurant, you eat there, they don't know, and you ask them simple question, you have a conversation, and then we fund them. So we have a local shop there, and we have a bakery. Now, most of the people funded, sponsored there. If we're going about South Sudanese, we have people who have become doctors, who have become lawyers, who have become engineers that are not related to me. We even put Rwandese in school. But that doesn't mean I have a lot of money. It's all about thinking, finding creative ways to support somebody else. And I learned one thing. If you want success to follow you like your shadow, find somebody with a problem and do your best to fix it. And once you fix it, other things fall in place.
Emmanuel Jal, thank you for being here with us. Everyone else, that was an evening with Emmanuel Jal. Give it up for this guy for spending his time here with us. Where's your son? He was...
I think he's at the back.
Yeah. Where's the young man?
Xiang, where are you?
Xiang, come and say hi to us.
Come and say hi. Come and say. Tell them your name, where you are, and the things you're doing.
I am Shang and I want to be a footballer and a singer.
Yay. Clap for this young man. Thank you so much for really gracing this occasion and also spending your time with us.
Yes, sir. Wow.
Yeah.
Boom. Sha.
Akuna Matata.
Yeah, come ragata. Wow. Yeah. Boom. Sha.
Akuna Matata. Yeah, come ragata. Boys in the hood, you gotta think big. Think big. Think big. Girls in the hood, you gotta think big. Think big. Think big. Women in the hood, you gotta think big. Think big. Think big. Men in the hood, you gotta think big. Think big. Think big.
Shangalangala. Awesome. Thank you. So you just want to do the chorus.
Ladies and gentlemen, Emmanuel Jal.